life can hit like a sledgehammer. But guess what? We hit back harder. Welcome to Affirm That Shit. Somehow I thrive. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your no BS guide to turning life's toughest moments into badass victories. Ready to flip the script? Let's affirm that life can be a bitch, but somehow we thrive. Welcome to today's episode of Affirm That Shit, and welcome to 2025. We're kicking this year off with my friend, Christa Rose. And if there's anyone who knows anything about pain, recovery, triumph, and success, it is Christa. She is going to share with you today a portion of her story. And I say portion because we only have 30 minutes with her. You need a lifetime to be able to unpack and go through what she's been through and just part of her life. She is someone who is resilient, who is resourceful, and is encouraging. Today, our affirmations are going to speak around the energy and healing of our body. As we hear Christa's stories, I want you to think back on these affirmations, and I want you to come back to this episode and say them time and time again. And I invite you now to say them with us. As you know, we have 3, and we'll say them 3 times. If you're not in a position where you can stop and wait and do them now, again, come back and do them later. But I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in and let it out. And we begin. I deserve time, space, and support to heal and thrive. I deserve time, space, and support to heal and thrive. I deserve time, space, and support to heal and thrive. I am compassionate with myself and honor my body's needs. I am compassionate with myself and honor my body's needs. I am compassionate with myself and honor my body's needs. I visualize healing energy flowing through my body, releasing any pain. I visualize healing energy flowing through my body, releasing any pain. I visualize healing energy flowing through my body, releasing any pain. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with Christa.
Imagine a space where you let go, where the clamor of the world quiets and you meet your truest self. At Yukio, through sound vibrations, Reiki, and the wisdom of tarot, we help you release what no longer serves you, align with your energy, and renew your spirit. Begin your journey back to yourself today.
Good morning, Christa.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Thank you for joining me as we kick off 2025. What a spectacular day to have you here leading us into the new year.
Absolutely grateful, not only for you and everything that you've done, but for your viewers, for your audience, for sticking with it, sticking with you, and taking the time out of their busy day to sit here and watch us and listen and hopefully get some inspiration. So I'm so excited to be here.
And I know they will be inspired. No hope behind that. But we'll talk about hope, I'm sure, because you have an amazing acronym for hope. So I can't wait for you to share that with everyone. But I'd like to start, Christa, with and we know what this podcast is all about, right? Turning those shitty stories into the shit story of somehow I thrived. This is nothing new for our listeners and our viewers, but girl, if anybody has a shit story, I'm here to tell them it is definitely you, and they will take away some encouragement, some empowerment, and some goals for themselves after listening to your story. So I'm just going to open it up and let you lead us right into the shit and help us out on the other side. How's that sound?
That sounds fantastic. And I want to start off by saying pain is pain. So, for anybody who's listening to the circumstances I went through, listen more to the feelings and see if you can identify with the feelings that I went through, because that is really is what is going to shift your life. So it started off when I was younger. I won't get into my whole childhood, don't have time for that. But I overheard my mom saying, she's a mistake. And I was thinking about it. My brother was only a couple months old when she got pregnant for me. And I definitely wasn't planned. And she said it off the cuff to a few of the ladies who said, why did you have your kids so close together? And she said, oh, Krista was a mistake. Now, moving forward, I know that I was not a mistake. And she says, I was a blessing. I was a happy oops. But growing up at that time, I felt I'm a mistake. And if you're a mistake, what does that mean? You have to fix yourself. You have to be perfect. You have to do everything for everyone else. And I did that. I spent my whole life trying to run on this treadmill, being the perfect person for everybody else while neglecting my own needs. I fast tracked through school, met the love of my life, and got married right out of school. Got the job I worked so hard to get, moved up the ladder, working probably about 14 hours, getting paid for 7.5 hours, and really burning myself out. But I remember the first day of spring, and I live in Canada, Ontario, and we do have snow, but usually spring, that's when we see more flowers and it's warmer. But this particular day, we had this huge snowstorm, and that wasn't normal for us. So I got out and said to the rest of the team, be careful, it's slippery outside. And I was the first one out. And as I was driving out, I lived out in the country and I enjoyed the long drive until I started feeling my tires slip underneath me and I started spinning. And then I saw those lights. Those lights had become bigger and brighter. And it was a full size pickup truck coming right towards me. And yes, I got hit head on. And it wasn't only that I got hit head on by the pickup truck. Everything that I went through in life came back, and all that pain I carried seemed to bubble up inside me. So I spiraled down into this depression because I no longer could be that perfect wife that I was. I couldn't be that perfect employee that I was. So as I was recovering from all the pain, like many people, instead of doing some alternative therapies that I now practice, I was offered some different pain medication. And of course, I'm going to take them, never realizing how quickly I can become addicted to them. And the addiction became so strong that I would take even before I was in pain, anticipating the pain. So this ended up becoming a spiral down, and I started drinking while taking it, not thinking that I was going to get this high. I basically wanted to numb the pain and pretend I was happy because inside I wasn't.
No.
Goodness, I ended up spiraling down. And that might sound weird to people, but At that moment, I went back to my doctor and said, this isn't working. I need more meds, more meds. And he saw me and he saw that I lost a lot of weight and I wasn't healthy. And he said, Krista, I think you have a problem and you need to go to a recovery home. And I'm sharing this with you, Jennifer, and your audience to say it's okay. There's no shame in getting help. This is definitely one of the parts I wanted to leave out, but I'm not going to. And I did receive help, and I met some amazing people and got some amazing tools to live through those difficult times. And thank God I did, because 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day later, my husband passed away while he took his last breath in my arms. You see, we only knew for 2 weeks that he had a very aggressive form of leukemia. And I signed up to be a wife and a mother, not a widow and a
Right.
single parent. So that pain inside me started to rehash from all the things I went through. But this time I had some tools that I could use to get better, to take care of my son. But I still had this pressure I put on myself to be the perfect parent for both of us. So fast forwarding through life, I continued on and went back to work. Actually, kind of got some extra jobs on the side because now I had to accommodate two incomes.
Right. You're trying to balance, both roles at this point.
100%. And not only physically, but emotionally, that took a
Yes.
toll. Yeah. So I did move up the ladder very quickly, became the director. And at the time, I thought my whole identity was my name badge until I started getting sick. I started having a hard time breathing. I had all these weird symptoms and I was neglecting them instead of taking the time to heal myself. And your affirmations were perfect because I deserved space to take the time for myself, but I didn't give it to myself. Instead, I kept running until I couldn't run anymore. And my body said, this is enough. I started having seizures out of the blue. These became more and more rapid until I became in a catatonic state. And for those people who don't know what that is, it's basically like a coma, but I could still hear and basically see everything that was going on, but I could barely move. Like I would make a little hand gesture. I couldn't speak, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. And I really, at this point, felt like a burden. It felt like all the pain that I went through was piled on top of me. And I questioned, why am I even here? Why did I survive that car accident? Why wasn't I the one who died instead of my husband? Why did I survive this illness? But I had to change my mindset. Instead of I am a burden to I am going to get better despite. And this is where your other affirmation was perfect about visualizing my body starting to heal from the pain and getting better. And I started visualizing a life back with my children. I was lucky enough to meet my best friend 7 years later after my husband passed away and had two more kids. I had a reason to get better, but I realized very, very quickly that that reason couldn't be about them. It had to be about me. You see, I never thought I was worthy enough to help anybody else or to give inspiration to anybody else. And once I realized that and had other people tell me, wow, Christa, I see you're getting better. It's really inspiring me. Those simple messages that they gave me were just enough to keep me going. And instead of saying, I can't walk, I'm always going to be stuck to this walker,
Right.
I would then shift the way I talk to I used to use my walker all the time, but now I'm using all my tools and my physiotherapist exercises to get better. And I'm going to be using a cane and be able to walk again. And I kept going with those affirmations, just like you said. And I kept going to say, now that I'm using a cane, I'm continuing to get better, do my exercises, And now I'm going to be able to walk on my own. And then I threw in the word because, and that is such a powerful word. So I went from not only I am now using my cane, but now I'm going to be walking on my own because I want to dance with my husband at our anniversary.
Yes.
And the way we speak, not only to everybody else, but to ourselves, is so important.
I
And
would say most important, the way we speak to ourselves.
as we go through this new year, take a moment right now and think, what is my word going to be for the year? Is it going to be something forward? Is it going to be something positive, something you want? Or is it going to be focused on something you don't want? So for me, it's not, I don't want to be in pain anymore. It is, I am thriving and getting healthy and inspiring other people and working with some amazing people, changing lives. I wrote my dream book that made Amazon #1 bestseller called Skip the Pain, Experience the Pleasure. And my tagline is cut the crap that's holding you back so you can
Yes.
live the life you love. Because you know what? It's all crap that's holding us back. It's that pain that we're holding on to over and over. And I help people move from pain, any type of pain, and we all have pain we carry. It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be financial, or maybe with a relationship, it could be from abuse, it could be really from anything. But I help them work through it to a place of passion and purpose because that's why we're here. And I know that's why I survived so many of these things.
Yes, you did. And I love that you're bringing the conversation to how we're speaking to ourselves and the word because. Many people go through life, and you may have been asked before, what's your why? What is your why? Why do you do this? Why do you believe this? Why is this? But it's the power of two things, in my opinion: the power of the pause, because we don't need to immediately respond, right? We need to take that time, and as we've said in affirmations today, give ourselves that space. And then you've said it so eloquently, because
Yeah.
because
And
it takes it much more than just surface level. Our brains, and we know this, they believe anything we tell it.
yeah,
So we're going to talk, just like you said, positive future self move. How am I moving forward? How
yeah,
do I see myself? And we're not saying everything's perfect every day, right?
absolutely not.
But we're saying on those days that I have those hiccups, on the days that Christa has to use her cane, you know what? I'm still walking today.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
still doing it because of this.
And I have those days that I still have to use my cane. I have to allow my body to rest. And I realize that resting is being productive too. One of the things I found that was kind of my ninja move, my hidden secret, was coming to a place of gratitude. And when I look back, if it wasn't for my car accident, I wouldn't have valued time. If it wasn't for my husband passing away at such an early age, I would have never known what true love was. And if it wasn't for my illness, I would not have valued the importance of health. And when I say health, it's body, mind, and spirit. And now I am not only doing conventional medicine, which I think is has a place, in this world, but I've expanded my mind and looking outside the box. What else is there that can help me, can uplift me, can put me in a place of peace and calm so my body can have what it needs to heal itself? And I've been blown away at the amount of things that came into my life that have brought me to that space. And that's why I'm able to sit here and talk with you and talk to all of you. One of the things I started off with is Reiki. And Jennifer, I know you are amazing at that. And that has changed my life to the point where I became a practitioner. And I'm a Reiki master. And I use that skill not only on everybody else, but I give myself that gift of healing. And I started experiencing and exploring different types of modalities. All these modalities were one more stepping stone in healing different parts of my body, my soul, and my mind. And one thing a lot of times we want to hide, especially for me being type A, is how I'm really feeling because I had all that pain inside. But if you would have said, Christa, how are you doing? You look great today. I'd say, I'm doing fine. But realistically, my muscles were spasming. I felt depressed inside. I was exhausted, but I didn't want anybody to know. I would rather smile and say, I'm okay. Everything's great. But now I look at it and I say the truth. Today I'm having a good day. And sometimes I'll leave it at that. Or yesterday was a little bit of a struggle, but right now things seem to be working out because I was able to rest earlier. Or afterwards, I plan to do some exercises so I know I'm going to be strong enough to go to that party or meet up with friends for lunch. So I don't have to hide, and everything doesn't always have to be okay in our world.
It does not. Chris, I want to ask as you're leading us into this conversation, because your diagnosis is one that is lifetime. It's not something that you went through, started with the seizures in the catatonic state, and then, well, here was the medication, and this is where we are today. You have, as what many of us know, an invisible disease. And you've talked about there's times that my body needs rest. This is a beautiful boundary that you've been able to identify and say, I'm just having okay day today, or I'm doing my best today. Can you share with our listeners and viewers what boundaries look like, sound like, feel like as you're starting to build those up? Because you've walked us through, I had this perfectionist in me, and I wanted to live for everyone else. And today, Christa lives for Christa. So what are boundaries, and how do we navigate and establish healthy ones?
That's a fantastic question and something that I've been asked and contemplated so many times because boundaries also change from time to time and person to person. So, boundaries for me is what is working for me right now, and what do I have the power to say no? And no is a complete sentence. I don't have to say yes to everything and to everybody. I don't have to do cartwheels to get everybody's approval and validation. Again, validation was one of the things that I wanted so bad because I didn't get that when I was younger. So I wanted to have it so bad that I would do anything for anybody. I wouldn't have the boundary of letting myself rest. I wouldn't have the boundary of letting myself be my authentic self and say, you know what? I do use out of the box thinking. I use different supplements instead of some medication. And instead of hiding all this woo woo stuff, as some people will call it, I went and explored it. And the more I talk about it, and the more people see me thrive, they see me becoming my authentic self. And that's a boundary I am now not going to set myself in boxing myself into being this person that I think everybody wants to see. You see, I ignored my symptoms for so long, and then the doctors ignored them as well. I would go in and discuss some of the pains and, throw a medication, another medication until it became so bad. And not one person tested me for something outside the box until I met, I will call him my earth angel, a neurologist. in a specialty hospital after I was in the intensive care unit yet another time. And he asked me, "Has anyone ever tested you for rare diseases?" I said, "No." One blood test. So he says that every doctor is supposed to send away to several places to check, can literally show the difference between if it's a regular illness we're dealing with or if it's something rare. You know, those 1 in a million that no one have? Guess what? I have one of those. And as soon as we found that out, I was able to set myself up for success. I was able to hit head on the pain, the fear, everything that I had, but I knew there was something to work with. And even though some people still look at me and say, "There's no way you can have that because the chances are," well, I'll tell you one thing. I was given 4 years to live. That's when I wasn't walking or talking. This is my 6th year. I had to relearn how to talk. So doing something like this was one of my nightmares. Basically, because I had to come out of my shell, get out of my comfort zone. But I did it because it's okay if I fumble, because guess what? We all do. We all do in life. We don't have these picture perfect Facebook lives that so many people do, having their dog basically smiling, look in the camera. And we know behind that camera, someone shaking something, saying, look at me, and taking 20, photos. It's okay. And when I came out of my comfort zone and started speaking more and more on podcasts, I was offered a TV position as a co host. And the more and more I do it, the more and more people I can identify with and who come to me and say they can identify with me. Again, maybe not all the specifics, but a lot of the same feelings. And that's really what it comes down to it is connecting to people and building that rapport with somebody, that trust with somebody, and being authentic.
It is. It is. And we started the conversation today with the power behind your stories because you're someone who has lived 1,000 lives in just a short amount of time. And as we wrap up today's session, I want to circle back to our little teaser about your acronym for HOPE. So, would you share that with us? And then I know, Christa, that those that are listening and watching are going to want to connect with you. Can you talk about and lead us out with what you're doing and how those that may want to reach you can?
Well, first of all, my acronym HOPE. I used acronyms a lot, basically to help remember things. And for me, the acronym HOPE was heck over pleasing everyone. And that was one of those aha moments because I didn't have to do everything for everybody else. And that led to hold on, pain ends. So right now,
That's a beautiful way to
yeah,
start 2025 for those who went through what you did, whether it was people pleasing or a health condition or pain of any sort. So thank you for creating those and sharing those.
you're so welcome. And I want to continue to try to inspire other people. And I do that by showing up. And I know when I show up, that gives other people that desire to show up and be their authentic self. And when they do that, it's like turning on a light that continues on.
And how can these others find your light?
Well, it's easy. They can go to my website. It's christarose.com. And my first name is Christ with an A. Don't hold me to that. That's the way my mom spelled it. My last name, rose.com. It's very easy. Also, message Christa at gmail.com. And any way possible, I have different modalities I work with. I am an international speaker. I share my knowledge, my strength, and my hope with anybody and everybody, whether you're a leader, if you're someone who owns a corporation, or if you're someone in the healthcare industry, nonprofit, really absolutely anybody, because we all experience pain. And I'll tell you, no matter what, there's always hope.
There is. And Christa, thank you for sharing your morning with us, kicking off 2025. I know that you've given some hope and some inspiration to everyone who's listened and viewed today's episode. And we will share your contact information in today's show notes. So be looking for those to reach out to you and keep shining that bright light, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And again, thank you for everybody for taking the time in this new year. And think about, what is your word going to be for this year? What do you want?
Thank you. You just took another step towards owning your story and thriving against all odds. This is Affirm That Shit. Somehow, I thrived. If you're ready to keep kicking ass, subscribe now and let's keep breaking barriers together. Remember, life's a battle, but somehow you'll thrive.